tangled up in cables. I'm tangled up in you. Was I singing the right song?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tangled up in you.
Yes, it's Collide by Howie.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got you.
You and I collide. Do 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 do.
Yes.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Ride Home Podcast. My name is Abby.
Hey guys, it's Caitlin.
We just left the theater from quite possibly the most controversial movie of 2022.
Yeah, seems to be.
And not necessarily like controversial because of its content, but controversial because of its marketing, cast, director, everything that happened, everything that went down. We just saw Don't Worry, Darling.
We did.
Yeah.
We came for the drama.
I feel like we first saw the trailer for this at the beginning of the year, and it was just an instantaneous, like, we have to see that. And I think it's because both of us identify as bisexual, and seeing a trailer where Chris Pine, Gemma Chan, Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, like, it was just like the most bi-panic that has ever bi-panicked. And so I think even if this movie was billed as the worst movie of all time, we would have eventually seen it.
We had to see it.
We had to.
Yeah, we didn't have a choice.
But as the year developed, there were some rumblings of tension on set, right? And so Florence Pugh plays our main character, Alice. The movie is directed by Olivia Wilde. And the rumbles out of the tabloids was that Olivia Wilde was so obsessed with Harry Styles on set and with her newfound affair and relationship with him that Florence Pugh was very upset by that and wanted nothing to do with Olivia Wilde. Like, the second the movie wrapped, she was like, deuces, like, screw you guys. And then there was the Venice Film Festival when people thought that Harry Styles may or may not have spit on Chris Pine, which after like detailed review of the video, I don't think he spit on him. I don't
think so.
It looks a lot like he spit on him though.
And everyone said he didn't.
Yeah.
So we're just going to say he didn't.
We're just going to say he didn't. It looks like he did. People weren't sure if Florence was going to show up for anything. She like marched in with like an Aperol Spritz and her grandma because she's the best person ever.
Wait, what about the Shia LaBeouf thing?
Oh my God, yeah.
Basically, Olivia Wilde is the drama. Is all we have to say about this. Yeah. Because what was the Shia LaBeouf thing that he was supposed to play?
So Shia LaBeouf was going to play Harry Styles' character, and Shia LaBeouf claimed he wanted more rehearsal time, and he released some receipts. He released some text messages between him and Florence. He clearly states in his text messages that he thinks that Florence is uncomfortable working with him. And I guess Shia has some pretty serious allegations against him, which he is since confirmed. He like recently confirmed on a podcast that he did in fact like assault his ex-girlfriend.
Ooh, okay.
And so basically Shia claims he left because there wasn't enough rehearsal time, but the reason that there wasn't rehearsal time is because Florence would never meet up with him. So we're not sure if maybe Florence felt uncomfortable about working with him.
Olivia Wilde says she fired him.
Olivia Wilde said she fired him.
She has to be the drama.
But then a video came out where she was like, Shia, Shia, Shia. And she's like driving in her little Jeep. And then she's like, I think this is a wake-up call for Miss Flo.
Miss Flo.
And so basically we all know that at the bottom line of all of this drama, Olivia Wilde, like you said, is the drama. She clearly lost control of her own project, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems that way.
I think the most unfortunate thing, it's like, I don't feel bad for Olivia Wilde. I can tell that there's like maybe some like narcissism there. I'm not saying she's like a narcissist, but like I feel like there's some ego issues there.
Sure.
Clearly, like Jason Sudeikis served her like papers while she was actively doing like a panel.
Like, I know that's so shitty. I know, but it's so funny shitty, to me.
I am team Jason on that.
Because he's Ted Lasso. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I just can't. I'm not going to shit on Jason.
No, never. So we can tell that there's something about Olivia that's a little bit toxic.
Something's off.
Yeah. And Harry Styles, whether I think he was dating her and then wasn't, but now she was just seen at one of his concerts.
Oh, Lord.
He's an Aquarius. He's a mess.
Yeah.
I think he's fallen for it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what sides to pick besides Florence Pugh always. And Jason Sudeikis always,
who's not even a part of this movie, but we have to mention him.
And even though he's like wrapped up in whatever drama Olivia Wilde is, Harry Styles is just beautiful and talented.
Yeah, we love him.
And we love him.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into the movie now.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you your general thoughts.
Okay.
I'm going to say we went from Harry Styles being beautiful and talented.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of him in this little movie?
Maybe he's not always talented.
Maybe he needs to stick to what he knows.
Just should continue with music.
You know what? He released one of the best albums this year.
Truly.
So we can't shit on him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he can't be good at everything.
Right.
Like, he can't have one of the best albums and a great performance in a movie.
And one of the best looking people on the planet.
No, he can't do all of those things.
He tried.
He tried so hard.
I gave you all of this, Alice. Not everybody gets this opportunity.
He isn't, at least in this movie, was not a great actor.
No.
This was not a good performance.
No, it was not. And I think one of the main issues, unfortunately, and I know I was just teasing about it, he is from, I don't know what part of England he's from, but he's from a part of England that they should have had him try to do a London accent instead. Tried to
just like standard British.
Yeah, like trim off the fat of like his kind of slang, you know. You couldn't take him seriously because the accent was so strong that it was almost like the British version of like a Tennessee backwoods person on screen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And I will actually agree with you. I mean, it's like we can't like shit on someone for like literally how they talk.
No.
But like I do agree with you. And I think part of it was the delivery. It was also very like overacted.
Yeah.
The entire thing on his part was overacted.
So you know what it reminded me of actually? There was this one scene where they were having a fight, Florence Pugh and Harry Styles' character, who are Alice and Jack. And her performance was, you were watching a real human being on that screen. Like you were watching, she became Alice, right? His performance reminded me, like I did drama in high school. And it was like, you're on stage and you think you're delivering like this great performance.
Yes.
But really it's just screaming.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's so funny that you said high school because in that same scene when he was like literally screaming, like I thought high school, like this is a high school play.
Yeah.
Him, not her.
Which like high school directors love a scream.
Yeah, like please.
They're like, give us more passion. My high school director sounded nothing like that. But I had a performance where I was in Crime and Punishment and I played like a mother of like desperate poor children and my husband was a drunk and I had a fight with my husband on stage. And it was literally just me screaming at him and slapping him and like it was so overdone. But here's the thing. I could have given a better performance if I was told by my director, hey, don't scream. You don't need to right now. Yes. Hey, feel your feelings. What are your motivations? Building the character inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Olivia Wilde was just like, oh my God, he's so pretty, that she just let him like run free.
Yeah, I don't think there was much directing with him.
Like she drank the Kool-Aid. Like there were stars in her eyes and she couldn't get out. I know I say this to you all the time, like get out of your butt. Like she couldn't get out of her butt. Like she was just so enthralled with him that she couldn't tell him when he needed to pull back, when he needed to adjust.
Yes, because...
and how to prepare.
I have to say, nobody else in this movie had that issue.
Yeah.
Nobody else overacted. Nobody else felt inauthentic even.
Right.
I will say, like, the rest of the cast, I thought, did a great job.
Yeah. I completely agree.
So it has to have been. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I also wonder if that was something that created some tension also of, like, people, like, there are real actors in this movie, like actual actors. Florence Pugh, Gemma Chan, Chris Pine.
Chris Pine was great.
Chris Pine was amazing. He looked
beautiful
fucking
too.
Great.
The one scene out like in their home when they're throwing a party, like Chris Pine and Gemma Chan's home, he looked like a god. When he came out, I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
He was never on my list of like Chris's.
No,
but he is now. Yeah,
I like old Chris Pine better than young Chris Pine. I will say.
Agree.
It's a little bit. It's getting like zaddy.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Anyways, all of the other real actors, even though I'm gonna just say Olivia Wilde was even good. Like Nick Kroll was great. Like
Olivia Wilde had. Well, she was touch and go in parts.
But like
you could tell she was directing herself.
Correct.
She ran away with it a little
bit.
But
I just wonder if there was like something like Harry's not really like on our level and like he's not getting any direction at all.
Yeah.
And like we understood the assignment and he's just doing this.
It must have been frustrating for sure. Like especially Florence having the majority of her scenes with him. I could see
probably a struggle.
Yeah. I'm going to give a brief synopsis, of course, off the internet again, because I'm going to do no spoilers. We will do a small spoiler section at the end.
Just a little teensy bit.
Just a little teensy bit, but we'll warn you whenever. So in the 1950s, Alice and Jack live in an idealized community of Victory, an experimental company town that houses the men who work at a top secret project. While the husbands toil away, the wives get to enjoy beauty, luxury, debauchery of their seemingly perfect paradise. However, when cracks in her idyllic life begin to appear, exposing flashes of something sinister lurking below the surface, Alice can't help but question exactly what she's doing in Victory. Why is the synopsis better than the movie? What? That was another well-written synopsis.
Who's writing these synopses?
I don't know.
Synopses on Google.
I don't know.
Whatever they are, they're killing the game.
But the writer of this movie was Katie Silberman, who did Booksmart, which is one of our favorite comedies.
Which we loved.
And there were hints of comedy.
There were.
It had the same kind of brand of comedy. And, of course, directed by Olivia Wilde. And we talked about the cast earlier. But I'm now going to ask you, overall, coming out of the theater, what are your general reactions and thoughts to the movie?
I knew going into this that it had a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
So I tried to just kind of like have no expectations at all.
Yeah.
There were parts of it that I actually really liked. There were parts of it that I was like cringing. And overall, as a whole, I don't know, like I really wanted to like it because I think the idea is actually really cool.
Potential was there.
But I just feel like it didn't, something happened. I don't know if this was another like editing issue or something or a storyline issue, but it just didn't click into place how I wanted it to.
I think for me, one of the biggest issues was that we had a 2-hour movie where the first 15 minutes were pretty good. The last half hour was good. And the rest was just Florence Pugh disassociating and looking into mirrors.
Right.
And staring
and, like,
off into space.
Yeah.
And it was the same hallucinations over and over again. It was the same experience that she was going through. And instead of making it, like in most psychological thrillers, you start out with little things that you're like able to brush off as normal. And one of the first things that happens that makes her question her reality is actually in the trailer, so it's not a surprise.
I know what you're going to say already.
And it happens within 25 minutes of the movie. So very early, she cracks an empty egg and then cracks multiple empty eggs. And this is right at the beginning of the movie.
It just started.
No one after that point of cracking an empty egg would be able to continue their life normally and like have there be more of a buildup. Like you would just be like, all right, like what the hell is going on?
Right. It was almost just like, oh, well, that was weird.
Yeah.
And like it like just continued about her day.
Yeah.
And we never really connected that with anything else.
Right.
That was a very separate thing.
You never know why the egg was empty.
No.
Compared to the rest of the food.
Right.
It was just the one pack of eggs that was empty. Very strange.
Yeah.
So there were, and I know that this is like a common review that, I mean, this movie came out in the festival circuit, so it's been reviewed for a couple of weeks now. And I know that the common criticism of it is that there are so many underdeveloped plot points that it's like, there's not just like plot holes, there's like gaps.
Valleys, if you will.
It was a sinkhole at times.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other issues about spending an hour solid, maybe an hour and 15 minutes of just watching Florence Pugh disassociate, was that we missed out on so many good characters that they introduced us to at the beginning. So Gemma Chan was and always is captivating. The second she is on screen, you like stop breathing.
Yeah.
Like she's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen.
Yeah, like I don't know how to explain this. There really doesn't need to be an explanation. It's like a swan.
Yes.
Like it's just like, okay, she's here. She is the moment.
She is the moment always.
Every time.
And to have her be in like a total of 4 scenes, criminal. And absolutely really, criminal.
Yeah, and like no character development at all for her. Really none for anyone.
That's exactly it. Every person besides Florence and then maybe one other character who's another woman in the town who's also questioning things. Everybody else is just deadpan the whole time. And I understand that they're trying to build this idyllic reality where
like a little bit Stepford Wivey.
Yeah. I get that they were trying to go there. Unfortunately, like the most interesting thing about the majority of the men was that all of them have like man crushes on Chris Pine's character.
Yeah.
Like legitimately, I think Nick Kroll's character is in love with Chris Pine.
Yeah, they kind of set that up.
Yeah. And I know that again, they were trying to build this kind of empty reality that Florence Pugh is trying to get herself out of. But I think it would have been more interesting if her reality was really full and warm and happy and real, so that the concept of maybe this isn't
what I think
it is would be much more satisfying than like from the very second we start the movie, everything is weird and creepy and we're cracking empty eggs. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree. I think if it did establish those two things as being way more different, like her reality that she's in is like actually really enjoyable and she likes it and she's got friends and there's people there and it's like nice, but then it's like all these weird things are also happening. Like then I feel like somehow like at the end it would have clicked together of like, ooh, but it was just like the whole time, like you said, like weird shit was happening. So it was like we could already tell she was uncomfortable.
Completely agree.
And so why else wouldn't she continue to try and find out what was going on if she was uncomfortable from the very beginning?
Correct.
And like clearly didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Ever. So it was just like
she was always just out of it.
Yeah, like she didn't want to be there. And so I think like you said, if it had set it up and the tone was different. Yeah. That everyone actively did.
They trying to do with the opening scene. The opening scene is like a party that they're having at somebody's house, and they're trying to show that like these are friends and they have fun together. But it's literally the next scene is weird.
I was gonna say it was very short.
Yeah,
that wasn't long enough to establish like what is happening in this world.
I know this probably would be a little more of like a quote unquote traditional start to a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to see Alice and Jack move in.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see her excited for her new chapter in life, and to be like, oh my God, this home is beautiful, and to show her excited about putting her home together, and more of their romance, because although it is tantalizing on screen, their relationship was purely physical.
Right.
And they tried to convince us that it was this really deep, passionate love when they don't even have conversations. He just walks in the door and they start having sex.
And that's about it. And then he goes to work.
And I
she
think,
makes him breakfast.
yeah, and I think it just would have been, we just needed more setup and more introduction to each one of these characters to get to know them better, so that the disturbing parts or the, you know, psychologically twisted parts feel more impactful.
Yeah.
And you feel worse for them going through it, if that makes sense. I will say, however, that the highlights for me were, again, some of the performances. Chris Pine and Florence Pugh stand out in particular. B, I thought it was beautiful.
I did too.
I thought it was absolutely gorgeous.
It was really pretty to look
I don't
at.
know if maybe they shot it on film. It felt like maybe they did.
Yeah.
I haven't researched it, so maybe I could be wrong. And it could just be like filters. But it was shot absolutely beautifully, and the set design was incredible.
Yes.
Jack and Alice's home was so cool.
Stunning.
I truly love mid-century. Like, I don't know why, but the step down living rooms, I want one of those so badly.
I agree. Like, it's just perfect. Like, I really truly want to live there. Not in Victory, but well, I also like the cast, particularly Florence Pugh. I felt like she a little bit stole the show.
I'm gonna say it. Meryl Streep of our time?
Could be. The jury's still out, but I could see it.
Of the 2000s, I think she is the best young actress that we've gotten.
For sure.
Saoirse's up there.
Saoirse's up there too, but I don't know. Florence has just something else. Florence has a little bit of something extra, which, like you said, Meryl Streep, I would put her in the same category.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's like Toni Collette. It's like, no matter what they are in, they are good in it.
Yes.
And no matter if they could be in just the worst written, shittiest movie, and their character is still going to be good.
It's going to be the most believable shit you've ever seen.
Yes.
Every single time.
I mean, you and I actually didn't enjoy The Staircase as much as we thought we were going to. And like, Toni Collette was just like, every scene with her, we were like, gobble gobble, like we loved it. And it's the same thing with this movie, and with Florence, is like, she's not just acting her part, she is that person in that moment.
She literally becomes her character.
At the beginning of every movie that she's in, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, like, I love Florence Pugh. And then by the end of the movie, I forgot that it was Florence Pugh for that entire 2 hours.
Meanwhile, the whole time I was like, there's Harry Styles again.
I know.
I honestly, I kept forgetting what his name was, his character's name, because I was
you
like,
wanted to call him Harry.
Yeah, I was like, it's Harry Styles.
Honestly, Jack did not fit him.
No.
I feel like they should have just called him Harry.
No, yeah, I mean, they should have just kept him Harry, because he just wasn't. I also love the set. I also love the cinematography and just everything about that I thought was beautiful. I really did also like the music.
I agree.
Both the old music and also just like the sounds that they used to like kind of create some of the tension. The thriller sounds I thought were really, honestly, very effective. So
yeah,
I felt like, again, there were just some qualities about it that made me really excited about this movie. But there's just so much missing. Like you said, it's the plot points. It's some of the acting from Harry Styles mostly, but it was just like,
the movie is Victory. It's an empty egg. Going in the theater ready to like, oh my gosh, like this cast, it's so beautiful, and you want to devour it, but then it's just like completely unsatisfying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. We are going to give our final reviews now before we get into spoilers, just so that whoever wants to dip out if they're planning to see this. I am going to give this a medium.
I am too.
Okay. I think that this film was a victim of really horrible marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a victim of controversy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we did not have the drama with Shia LaBeouf, if we did not have the affair between Olivia and Harry, I think if there wasn't the clear tension from Florence, I mean, she didn't post anything about this movie on her social media. I think that because of all of that, people built it up into this movie has to be perfect in order to make up for all of that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're judging it a little too hard.
I do too.
Overall.
I think it's way too close under the microscope.
Yes. And I think that if this movie came out without any controversy and was just a standard Florence Pugh is in a movie with Chris Pine, that's great. We're happy at Toronto Film Festival, this is so wonderful, I think it would have sat low 80s, maybe
I do too,
upper 70s.
Yeah.
I think people would have said it's good and not great.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Even though there are some really big issues with it that chip away at what it could have been, it still was. I enjoyed watching it.
I enjoyed it too.
I will say you don't need to run to a theater.
No.
You could very easily stream this.
100%.
I'm sure it will be on a streaming service.
Yeah.
Unless you want to avoid the spoiler, which is what Victory is, obviously. I don't think you need to rush anywhere. Just stay off the internet and don't look at stuff involving this project.
I wouldn't either.
Film.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
And now
it's time for Caitlin shares what she really thinks. No, I'm just kidding.
We are going to enter our spoiler portion of the podcast. We'll be right back.
Hello, welcome to the little tiny spoiler edition.
I initially did not want to do spoilers, and Caitlin was like, I have to.
I just have to. I don't know why. It just there's just this one part that I have to talk about. And obviously, like you said before, it's the part where we find out what Victory is. And it really creeped me out.
Yeah.
It really fucked me up.
You were unwell.
So I don't know. I can't remember if we've ever discussed this in a previous episode. I had what we call fear tears, which is just something that happens to my body.
If you're uncomfortable, if you're scared.
Yes. If I'm freaked out in a movie, or if I'm really uncomfortable, or it's my body has a visceral reaction sometimes to a movie. And I don't cry, but I just get tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
And so Abby and I called them fear tears. That happened to me in this movie, which is why I wanted to do a spoiler section, because my body was literally
panic.
So I'll just go ahead and say, since we're in the spoiler section, so we find out that Victory is a completely virtual reality.
Correct. And not only is it a virtual reality, but it's a virtual reality where half of the people there are there not out of their own volition.
And I just got fear tears again.
Yeah.
From that thought, and I got goosebumps again. It's such a cool idea to me.
Yeah.
That's the part of this movie that I was like, dude, if we had just told this differently and set this up differently, I probably this probably would have been one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah. If like I said in the earlier portion, if the hour and 15 minutes in between the beginning and the end was good, this would have been an Oscar nominated movie.
100%.
One of the most interesting things about Victory and about the whole system of building this virtual reality world was that it was steeped in incel culture.
Yes.
And it reminds me of right now on the internet, we have these male characters like Andrew Tate. A lot of it is very anti-women and wanting to go back in time to when women were there holding a drink at the door. And I think that part of it could have been developed more than just seeing Harry Styles like sitting behind a computer listening to this guy talking. I know they probably just wanted it to be like the end spoiler and then it unravels from there, and they didn't want to dive into it more. But I think I wanted more from Jack, from Harry Styles' character, as to why he made the choice to put them in there.
You could see some of the reasons why Jack did it in their false reality. I felt like. So like the fact that they had sex every day, the fact that she cooked every day and she was always there for him in his real life with her, his actual girlfriend. She was constantly working and didn't cook, and like he was like felt like
and
neglected.
He was unemployed, and in Victory he got a promotion.
It was like kind of literal almost, I felt. But like just the fact, I think why it impacted me so much is like when like it sets the scene of like him coming home from work and she's just laying in the bed strapped down with her eyes like held open with little lasers like scanning her eyes, and he like puts the like liquid from a washcloth dropped into her mouth. I was like, what the fuck? Like that was deeply disturbed.
I thought it was going to be still set in like the 50s. I thought it was like the Truman Show almost. I was very pleasantly surprised that they added the twist that it is in modern day. I think I had some issue with how we revealed it. Like the reveal happened before the climax, and I think that was an issue. And so that's why I was saying if they had given us more about Jack and his intentions and his motives and unpack that more, it would have justified introducing it that early. Because if they just introduced it at the end, it would have been a great shocking twist, and that's it. But because it was introduced a little too early, I wanted more about everything.
What was happening. I agree. I do agree with that. But it was still like, to me, a really impactful moment. But like, it definitely still, again, like just a little bit void of something. Like of just development, honestly.
I think there was 2 big moments at the end too that my eyebrow literally just went like shooting to the sky because it came out of nowhere. Was you find out that the men, but just the men, if they die in the virtual reality, they die in real life, and there was no reasoning, and apparently the women are free from that, which doesn't make any sense.
But then Olivia Wilde was like, but they're going to come for your real body in real life. So I was like, what does that mean?
I think just because she's still asleep, like she was still like in her bed asleep, they were going to come and kill her, I guess. Right. And then the other one was when Gemma Chan kills Chris Pine out of nowhere.
What in the hell?
Again, a victim of not developing the characters was that we got no sense that their relationship or their marriage was rocky, was tense, had any issues, and you really and truly felt that she was in on it with him. Like she was controlling the women and he was controlling the men.
She was like championing him the whole time.
And then suddenly
kills him
out of nowhere with no leading up to it, nothing. They're just sitting in the house. They find out that Florence Pugh is booking it, and she just goes, all right, stabs him in the heart, twists
the knife, and then that's all we see. That's it for them.
We never hear anything more about that.
Well, like, where did Gemma Chan go? We're worried about her. I'm real confused.
That's the thing about this movie is that
plot hole.
I'm like, now that I'm saying it, I want to give it a small, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have given it a medium. But like, I will still give it a medium because of
the things we liked.
Things that we liked, and specifically I will give it a medium because I thought it was a very well made technical production.
I agree.
And
we'll just leave it at that.
That's all she wrote.
My brain hurts. Now.
I actually do have a physical headache.
Interesting. The Victory Project.
Whose world?
Our world.
I gave you all of this, Alice. that does it for us. We're going to go and watch some Steelers football. But we will be back next week with Bros, which is a gay romantic comedy. Getting great reviews, by the way. Can't wait with Billy Eichner. And we are just so excited for a little gay movie.
Yes, we love a little gay movie.
All right, everybody. We will catch you next week. Have a great weekend.
And thanks for joining us on the ride home.